Welcome back to Bear Tales. It's currently the 8th of August. I'm trying to record the Why YouTube video and just having a few issues with getting all the information in that I want to get in. I keep forgetting bits, so I have got a page of notes on my desk just to try and keep things on track, make sure I've got everything that I want to say. So, to begin with, myself and my sister used to do some craft fairs. I've crafted on and off for several years, done shrink plastics, done polymer clay, dabbled with that a little bit, as well as some other stuff. We did these craft fairs, sold some stuff, nothing major, but we did do a lot of licensed characters, which obviously now we're older, we know that's not a good thing. So yeah, along with life getting in the way, we did kind of stop doing that. I actually stopped for a very long time because I was doing writing and drawing, so those were my creative outlets, and yeah, just everything else kind of went on the back burner. But then back in 2020, when the world went sideways, I was having a bad head day. At the time, I was a private carer. I'd been doing it for a couple of years at this point, but watching these people deteriorate health-wise, especially when one of those ended up being my own grandfather as well, it was taking its toll on me mentally. And, some people can do it for their entire careers. Unfortunately, I discovered I wasn't one of them. But I did end up doing it for 4 years, and I'm really glad that I did do it. Yeah, so I was having this bad head day because of that, and a friend of mine in a Discord server linked me Mariah Elizabeth's squishy makeover videos. Probably would have been the most recent one at the time. It's been a while, I can't remember. So that was kind of it. I was hooked into it. Up until this point, I used YouTube for film trailers, TV trailers, occasional music videos, very occasional tutorials, and like clips from my favourite comedians. So I didn't know what was actually there on YouTube. This was the first time I'd actually delved into it properly, and I was hooked. I watched all of Mariah Elizabeth's squishy makeover videos and started to watch her other stuff. And from there, it just literally spiraled, where I found Jazza looking up an alcohol marker tutorial. Because at that point, whilst I'd been using them for about 10 years, I hadn't discovered how to use them properly. I'd bought this pack of Winsor Newton Greys. Before they were Winsor Newton, they were still Letraset at that point. And they were called Pro Markers. I think the Winsor Newtons might still be called Pro Markers. I don't know. They're over there. And it came with this colourless blender. I had no idea what to do with it. There were no instructions. They just assumed you knew. And, I discovered them quite by accident on, I think it was my first ever trip to Hobbycraft. So, I thought it was about time I'd found out how to use them. So, I'm still learning and not using them properly all the time, but I'm trying, that's the main thing. And then I found Ace Clay looking up air dry clay tutorials, which I know he's polymer clay, but I figured there's probably some crossover techniques. And just the way he tells stories with his Mutants Universe videos, they're just absolutely fantastic, and as someone who writes, I can really appreciate the story side of that. And like I say, it just spiraled from there, and now I'm subscribed to about 60-ish channels, which I'll get to in a sec. But at that time, I didn't know what a YouTube subscription meant. I thought where you've got your Amazon Prime, your Spotify, Netflix, and all that sort of stuff, it costs money. Because why wouldn't I think like that? Subscriptions do cost money. And it was about 6 months after that I discovered that actually when you subscribe on YouTube, that's not paying money. So I then subscribed to everybody. at that point. Like I said, I'm subscribed to about 60-ish channels. I know that sounds a lot. At least I think it does. I could be wrong. You know, some of those are friends that don't publish all that often, but I just like to support them and just watch what they do. I've got 3 that are YouTube advice channels. There's a booktuber in there. There's about half a dozen writing advice channels, couple of gaming channels, a dog one, and I think the rest are all arts and creativity. You know, and again, not everyone posts on a regular basis, but I love watching them, and they're all different. You know, they're not all the same. You know, you've got Jazza, Nerdy Crafter, Aussie Crafter, Sarah Renee Clark, So Craftastic, and you know, the list goes on. I could be here all day listing them all, and I'd probably forget somebody. You know, so, and a lot of them I found through other YouTubers. Like, I'm fairly sure Real Terrain's Hobby I found through the Jazza collab, I think. So there's ones like that. I rarely use my recommended feed anymore. I do occasionally, and that's how I found Aussie Crafter. I actually found her a week before the Sarah Renee Clark video went up, and that was really cool to watch, just the channel explode like that. You know, being so late to the game, I've not actually witnessed that before, so that was really cool to see. You know, so yeah, whilst watching all of these, it put me back in mind of the crafting business and crafting itself, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wanted to craft again, but at the time you had Jazz's Ultimate Creativity Collection, I think it was called. You know, the really big box that he did that was 3 boxes, but that was just coming to the end, so unfortunately I missed out on that one. Didn't have enough time to get money together to save up for that one. But Nerdy Crafter's first Not Another Crap kit had a relaunch, or a second run, and so I was able to get that, which was really cool, and that again helped sort of helped me decide what I wanted to do. And I'd settled on doing custom figures, so it was intended to be, I would have these figures that I would paint or modify and paint to look like people's pets or characters. And it started off quite well, because obviously I was going to do practice ones that were going to be my characters, until Charlie. Oh, Charlie is an old character of mine. I created him maybe 12 years ago for a short story, and he is like my favourite character that I've ever created. I'll get more into him another time. Unfortunately, when I did him, a few days after he was done, I dropped him and his varnish chipped. What I thought I'd be able to do is just, you know, clean that up, get rid of the edges of the rough edges of the varnish and just redo that area. However, it started to strip his paint off, so I stripped him all the way back, and that was really gutting. You know, I'd spent ages on him. Now, I hadn't gessoed him. I didn't sand him either, because he was highly textured. I didn't think I needed to. Here's one of these, I want to say Schleck kids figures. I can't remember what the exact name is. It's German as well, which doesn't help because my German's really rusty. I did start it again a few years ago, but again, another story for another time. So yeah, that really bummed me out, and kind of thought, well, you know, that happened to mine. I don't want to sort of sell these figures and it happened to somebody else. So yeah, I was kind of at a loss as to what to do. And all the while I've been thinking I wanted to share my crafting process with people because I really enjoyed that aspect of YouTube, and I thought about doing YouTube for about 0.05 seconds. I've grown up camera shy. My mum was camera shy, my grandmother was camera shy, so it's one of those things that's kind of been ingrained. And you know, if you watch my first few videos, you can just see how terrified I was to do it, but I wanted to do it. I'm still not the best at it. I'm still getting comfortable with doing it. You know, I'm not 100% me at the moment. It's not trying to hold back my personality. It's just, you know, like for me, when I meet someone new, it takes me a little while to warm up to them. So it's that kind of thing, doing it on camera, and again, being used to being on camera. Yeah, these things take time. I'll get there. I know I will. I'm already way better than I was in the beginning. I know that. I can tell. So I thought I'd go old school and do a blog. So I did some posts with photos of an unboxing and projects in progress. But I wasn't enjoying it. I really wasn't, and finding it difficult to sort of keep up consistently, which might sound odd doing YouTube, but I'll get into that in a bit. So yeah, I stopped doing the blog. It just, you know, and blogs are really hard to get sort of going, get out there. You know, at least with YouTube, you've got the YouTube platform already there. People just have to find you. It's a bit different than like a blog that's a web page that you've just put up, you know. So yeah, I stopped doing the blog. I considered doing stop motion videos for YouTube, so I wouldn't be in them. I'd use Doodle to craft my stuff for me. You know, I even went so far as to buy the plasticine to make him, but I don't know what I was thinking, because having grown up with Aardman and seen some of the behind the scenes stuffs and know that it takes years to film these things, yeah, I don't know where my head was at, knowing that these things took so long to make. You know, the couple that I have done, which I mentioned in the stop motion video, I'm really happy with them. I did okay, but they did take a very long time to do. You know, the teddy bear's picnic video that took me a full morning to film turned out to be a whole 20 seconds in length. So that's the kind of doing a full craft would take, I dread to think how long that would actually take me. So yeah, that idea went out the window, and I couldn't really do YouTube anyway, because at the time myself and my husband were living with my parents. Just one of those things had to happen at the time. So, you know, the room where I crafted, people would be coming and going all the time, so it wouldn't work out. So that was a no-go. And then we got our own place, and I got a new job. I went back into retail. I've done retail and fast food almost my entire career, apart from the 4 years as a carer. And that was part-time, so it meant I could still do my crafting. You know, I was working on my nerdy crafter stuff, and at that point I'd also got the Super Not Another Crap kit and Jazz's Pro Artist pack and the Pro Sketch pack. That was a bit more recently. I also got the Real Terrains hobby kit, you know, so I'd been working on these things, and I still wanted to do the crafting business, but I was still kind of not sure what I wanted to do. But the job I was doing was only a temporary contract. Previous experience of temporary contracts had always been that I would then be kept on, and that would be that, you know. But unfortunately this time I wasn't, and it wasn't the end of the world, you know. It wasn't the best job in the world, you know. It wasn't awful, but I got so bored. Anyway, so yeah, that was back in November last year. And in the UK, when you struggle to find work, they want you to sign on to the job centre, which, you know, they help you find work and they help with finances if you need it. And where we live, we're in a small seaside town. There's very few shops, and several have already closed since we've been here, and we've just passed our year mark. So that's never reassuring. The one big store, which is where I worked, I wouldn't go. Technically, I could go back there, but I don't want to because of the way they handled my exit. Was just, they lost the letter to say they weren't keeping me, and I found out via the staff app. So, anyway, the next town over is quite a distance, and the buses that go there are one every 3 hours. They start at 9 o'clock, and I think they finish before 5. So you couldn't work in that time frame. It just wouldn't be possible, you know. Yeah, so those weren't an option. And I thought more and more about doing crafting and doing YouTube, and I just went, you know what, let's go for it. My husband said I could do it. He was more than happy for me to try it. Spoke to my work coach. She was happy for me to try it. It's just, you know, they want you working. They don't care what you do so long as it's legal, you know. But yeah, we just went, okay, let's do it. So that's what I did. I was still working on what I was going to do. The rescue squads was kind of one of those things I thought would be kind of cool, because we'd rescued a couple of bears from charity shops. Way before that, like a couple of years before that, we'd actually rescued a wolf. He was actually a glove puppet, that we named Ash because we rescued him from a bonfire pit. Thankfully he hadn't been burned, because you don't want to be burning something like that because it's basically plastic, you know. Yeah, so he was our first true rescue. And it kind of, there's a bit of influence from Mariah Elizabeth's Squishy Makeovers, because, you know, it's giving these guys a new lease of life. It's not necessarily anything quite as drastic, apart from Nova, who, you know, we took out the mechanism, gave her a new face and everything. She's molting. Don't molt. Huh. Anyway, yeah, so it was never going to be that drastic. But what it also put in my mind was the fact that I'd always wanted to make my own bears. You know, I mentioned in Blizzard's video that I'd had this bag of faux fur fabric for years as a kid, but I never got around to it. I was like, you know what, let's do it. And I loved it. So I was going to make bears to sell. You know, I needed to practice, and using YouTube videos to do that was really good, because, you know, I wanted that to be sort of behind the scenes of doing the stuff that I was making to sell. You know, it was going to help promote the business. That was the idea for me. And the bears were starting to go well. You know, Blizzard was okay, Cosmo was okay-ish, Midnight seemed to be a step backwards, but that's because I designed my own pattern. Slade's going mostly well. I have made a slight mistake in his pattern, which I'll go more into in his video, but and that should actually already be out, I think, by now. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'll go into that in his video. You know, they are getting better, but what I discovered, anything that you want to sell that can be considered a child's toy has to go through specific safety tests. Now, you can do these safety tests yourself at home, and the official documentation stuff you have to buy, it's only about 30 quid, so it's not expensive, but the tests you have to do are insane. I mean, they make sense, okay? You know, I don't have a problem with any of that, but you have to set them on fire, do an acid test to see what chemicals are in the materials you use, and there's a bunch of other tests. We've got nowhere safe to do that kind of thing, but the kind of bears I wanted to do were what I was thinking of referring to as personality bears. So they would be one-of-a-kind bears based on someone's likes and their personality. So like for me, it would be like maybe a blue dog, you know, with Pokemon and Disney influences, that kind of thing. You know, so one-of-a-kind bears, you couldn't do these kinds of tests on because you're destroying the one bear. You know, and it's every single bear is meant to be really, really different fabrics, different everything. So that kind of stumped me a little bit, because I was like, well, if I can't do the crafting business I want to do, what am I going to do? And that kind of made things click into place, because I'm already doing YouTube. I can do what some of the others have already done and do merchandise. I've done character designs on YouTube. I've made characters, you know, so it makes sense. So the plan is, at the moment, I'm already working on it. I'm going to start small, and I'm starting with colouring pages and stickers. I'm going to be using Printful for the time being. There's another company that I really want to look into that does stuff that Printful doesn't do. So, you know, and I might do enamel pins and things like that. Again, it all depends, because at the moment where we are, I can only do stuff print on demand. You know, I can't do anything that I would get the stock of like Bailey J does. You know, it just isn't feasible. So yeah, gonna start small. And I know I've only got 20 subscribers on my main channel as of the time of recording this, but I know it's not going to stay that way. You know, I've got a lot of stuff I'm really excited for that's coming up. Other bears, other projects. You know, I've got some clay projects coming up. I've got some more older projects to finish. Got more create this book to do, and just tons and tons of stuff. I mean, I've sneak peeked you my to-do lists, my videos planned list, which has changed. For the moment, I'm only able to do one video a week because I was getting so stressed trying to get everything crammed into 1 week. But with my husband agreeing to help me edit, and we've just finished our first video. I mean, he's not done everything in it, but he's done a big chunk of it, so that means I don't have to do it, which is really, really cool. I've just got to do the voiceover and add the music. That's it. And that is fantastic, you know. So if we can keep it up, and I've devised a new timetable for myself. I used to do this quite a lot when I was a carer, where it would help me focus, because I tended to work first thing in the morning, lunchtime and dinner time, but I really found it difficult to switch off in between. So the timetable would help me not just focus and make sure I got to work when I was supposed to be there, but also to make sure I was doing other things, you know, and general adulting stuff. So I've finally done one for doing the YouTube and stuff. I hadn't done one up until this point because I was doing okay without it, but I just thought this is going to help me focus, hopefully help me get back up to 2 videos a week, because I've got that many ideas. 2 videos a week just makes sense. Plus, you know, like I say, I'm really, really enjoying it, and I love sharing it with you guys. You know, I hope you stick around and see where this all goes. I'm just double checking my list, make sure I got everything in, which I think I actually did this time. You know, and it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's already a lot of fun. I've got some great characters coming up, some great projects. Yeah, and like I say, I hope you stick around for the journey. But that's it for this one, and I'll see you cubs next time. Oh, wrong one.